I want to share 3 points. First, my confession. Second, my observation. And thirdly, my argument. Confession is that I'm having my identity crisis. I was born, raised in China, and Chinese culture is part in my blood. I can never change that. But during the past 30 years, I live in the United States. I'm a US citizen, and certainly embrace American values. I also should add a confession is that the two countries I'm so close with, China and United States, are probably the most arrogant countries in the world. They are obsessed with the so-called exceptionalism, Chinese exceptionalism, that China's rise will not undermine the stability of the world. American exceptionalism, American leadership can continue forever. So I apologize for these things. This do not represent my views. Now, second things about the trilateral relationship, my observation. I think that that topic certainly does not have the attention. You do not see so many conferences or topics or panels on this triangular relationship. In Washington, D.C., actually, Brookings, we did one event, but this probably is the only event in the past few years. And so that tells you the situation. Now, I do not want to make a value judgment. Maybe this is the right thing to not emphasize that triangular relationship. Now, but it's interesting to know that China, and for a long time, obsessed with the so-called three kingdoms because of China's own history. And also, we know that the triangular relationship is really make Nixon and especially Dr. Kissinger to play the China card. The opening of China has been seen as really the first step to end the Cold War, and because of American foreign policy, American wisdom. But now, I think that the United States is in a different mood. I mean, you look at the National Strategic Report. I mean, you identify so many enemies. Three groups. Terrorist group is a huge list. Then the rogue state in Middle East, Iran, and North Korea. And then, imperial or revisionist country, such as China and Russia. I don't know whether it's a good strategy. You have so many enemies. I do not know whether it's a good strategy. You do not put the things in the circumstances. It sounds like so rigid, so stagnant. This kind of strategy. Now, China, of course, also has its own problem. They try to play Russia card, with the oil, gas line, with the kind of partnership, maybe even to the certain degree that even maybe, of course, not the situation yet. I think Professor Yan Xitong can tell us more. There are some people in China argue that they probably should even form alliance, but of course not yet. But that does not work. First, U.S. does not care about triangles, just ignore, the whole thing, rightly or wrongly. And the media, that when China's top leaders visit Russia, or Putin visit China, not any coverage almost in the United States media. But also same time that Russia will never trust the Chinese. The reason is simple. You have so many leaders studying in the United States. Look at the Power Bureau now. 4 leaders, including a Power Bureau Standing Committee member, study actually at the same time at Berkeley that in the 1980s that Professor Yan and I were also at Berkeley at the time. And there's also Liu He is currently visiting the United States, got his degree from Harvard Kennedy School. And more importantly, their children almost entirely, 95% study in the West, including Europe and the United States. How could you trust these Chinese, from Russia's perspective? But also there's some other issues. In culture kind of things, I think they probably will feel the Chinese even closer to Americans rather than to Russia. This is my observation, could be wrong. So you look at these kind of dynamics, so that's explained partly that the United States did not pay attention to that. Now, come to my last point, my argument. I think this relationship is in really terrible shape. I think that we certainly know that George W. Bush, when he became president, he actually also told the Washington Post journalist that the United States had 3 enemies. at that time, 2000. When number one is Iraq, number two is Russia, number three is China. But of course, 9/11 drastically changed the situation. But I think we are in the same stage. Now, let me just single out one issue, the terrorist attack, especially through cybersecurity. Of course, these three countries could be victimizers. In that regard, you heard that, Russia Gate. I love your joke, and it's really great. And the second, you look at China's threat, particularly cyber espionage, all these kind of things. And thirdly, that Snowden, don't forget. This is a very important event. But on the other hand, major power could be victims because their population, because their reliability, rely on the cyber. But we have no any mechanism to cooperate. Only major power plus EU, plus Japan, India, and Brazil, these kind of countries. If they do not cooperate, how do you have the financial resources to deal with this challenge? Because the threat is so real, the cost is so low, the attack is so quick, so multiple, so invisible. If major power do not cooperate, you can for sure there will be cyber 9/11 in the near future. But I think our politicians, to a certain extent in all three countries, I particularly want to emphasize in the US, does not pay attention. It does not make sense at this moment. Of course, we have suspicions about the rise of China. We have the legitimate reason about the Russia behavior. And from China and Russia, they also have legitimate concern about the US foreign policy, US strategy. But we are heading not just a Cold War. Probably it's even far worse. So this is my argument. We should do something together before too late.